Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program with myself, Martin Blackham, and with Natalie Blackham, my wife, in the studio today because it's a special Israel First update where we're looking at the news from Israel. We're looking at what we do in the program, and we're thanking you, our valued supporters, to stand with us. And there's lots of ways you can support us. You can, first of all, donate financially. And there's a donate page, but you can also support us by letting other people know. You can find out ways of other people financially supporting us. And if you'd like to get in contact with us, our email address is info@israelfirst.org. Well, in the news in Israel at the moment is the elections. We've just had them. And by the way, this is as we've come into the studio because news changes so fast. But just to let you know that we've had the Israeli election results come in, and the big news is that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu won the victory. He got 35 seats, his Likud party, an amazing result, and he said it's a night of incredible victory, and it wasn't something necessarily that we knew about, although he was at one stage doing well in the polls, then he wasn't doing well, but who knows with election polls, but it's an amazing victory. One thing I think it's brought, and it's very important for you to know, I think it's brought a stability to the country at this time. Maybe people are not happy because they want to bring their own agendas, etc. But I do think it's brought a certain stability to Israel.
I think because the people prefer to vote for this Likud party, even if they would have preferred to vote for some other little party, they wanted to make sure that Netanyahu will pass because a lot of people from Samaria and Judea, and we have to think now is 500,000 people living over there, and they know that he promised that they will have now an annexation of Judea and Samaria, which is very important. So they are thinking, okay, we better have a strategic vote. We vote for him to make sure that the right parties will be in power. So I really think that some people just at the last minute even maybe said, okay, we really need to make sure that he's coming, so the right wings party will be coming all together.
And the amazing thing is that with the Israeli election, you need to have a coalition. It isn't just one political party winning a certain amount of seats. They have to work together with other parties, which is good and bad. The strength is that there's a working together. The bad thing is that sometimes they can't get things passed, or they have to go have certain people in power or whatever, or certain bills can't get passed because the other party doesn't want that to happen.
And this is what happened because they had 35 seats and the opposition, the Blue and White Party had 35, but they weren't able to put a coalition together. But he was, and so he has 65 seats for the Knesset, so that's it. He win and everybody is happy because there is a great economy right now, because he's doing a great job internationally, which is very important for Israel right now. So with all these things, they say, okay, we carry on voting for Netanyahu. I think he's the one who has been the latest, the longest prime minister now in power since the beginning of the State of Israel.
And the interesting thing is that with this election and everything, everything has kind of been put on hold.
Yes.
Because we didn't know who the government was. So now there's things that are going to be able to happen because we now have the new government taking place. Now, one of the big news stories has been, which is an amazing story, is the spaceship, the Israeli spaceship expedition to go to the moon. Lots of you may not even know that Israel had a space ship going to the moon,
which is again something extraordinary because they are little country.
Right, it's such a small country compared to the big nations who've gone to the moon, such as the United States, Russia, and China. And it was Israel's first mission to the moon, but sadly it crashed right at the end of the mission, just as it was going to the lunar surface. And Prime Minister Netanyahu said, if at first you don't succeed, you try again. And the amazing thing is, as soon as this happened, they've already made the decision for a second Bereshit mission to go to the moon, and Israel will be, sending that up from Cape Canaveral. It will be going on I think there was a rocket. It was going on, and it will be.
You know that Bereshit.
We'll keep you updated anyway as to.
Do you know that Bereshit means at the beginning? Is the first name in the Bible. So it's interesting again to see when Israel does some extraordinary things. They go back to the Torah, they go back to the Bible, and they use some words. So for them, it means a lot. It's the beginning of a new era that Israel is growing. Just think about, they live in this land, they were exiled, there was nothing. They are back here, and they are doing extraordinary exploits.
Right, and one of the things is that we like to do is to give you a view of what's going on outside of the studio, and Natalie's been out with other journalists. You went out with a whole group of foreign journalists.
Yeah, you're right, and looking at that is exactly where they are now and where they were before. Is extraordinary to see the story that is still unfolding story with Israel. So when I went over there, I went very close to Jericho, which is the place where John the Baptist was baptizing before. But before that, if we look in the story before, is the place where the Israelites crossed the Jordan. And why do we know that it's this place? Because it's kind of evident when you see the river. And also it's very close to Jericho, so it's very obvious that it was the place of that crossing. So this was amazing to see that. And also you have to think that it was also the place where Elijah and Elisha was when Elijah went up into heaven. And why do we know that? Because he had his mantle, and he goes to give it to Elijah, and he takes his mantle and go onto the Jordan, and the Jordan depart again. And so we know that it was this place. And again, we spoke about John the Baptist. So again, we know for the Christian, John the Baptist is an image of Elijah who was coming before the Messiah. So again, it's the same place. Really, it's like a place of passage. It's a place where there is a lot of energy. You see, when Elijah was there was a double blessing given to Elisha. Okay, so you can see all these things in that place. And again, you can see these beautiful pictures. And until 1967, when we look actually now in our period, this site was visited by large numbers of pilgrims under the Jordanian control at that time. Then in 1968, there was a prohibition, and the border fence was a close military zone. Then, now in more recent years, the civil administration, with the assistance of the tourism and regional department, they carried out infrastructure, and they included the clearing of mine. And now, in July 2011, which is not so far, the site has been open onto visitors. And now you don't need the prior security coordination.
Right, and, okay? and I think that what you need to know is that that Israel is, now able to go back. The Jewish people are now able to go back into the land, and Israel, that is part of Israel. Yeah. So it was occupied by Jordan, and even the old city was occupied by Jordan. So the Jewish people couldn't go to the Western Wall, although Christian tourists could, if they were allowed by the Jordanian authorities, would be allowed to go to this baptismal site. But then there was all the issue with mines and with military
They haven't
issues.
finished. They haven't finished to clear up where the mines are.
Landmines.
Land mines, but it's almost all done. And so I saw all the big bulldozers and all. They have to do it in a very secure way for the people, so they have a whole way of doing it. But the thing is, when you were there, I could see the Jordan, and obviously the Jordan is smaller right now than what it was at that time, because we had a drought. Now we have more water because it was the winter, but still the Jordan is not as big as it was before. But the amazing thing for me was like I'm in Israel and I can see on the other side, and you can see Jordan, and you can see different. You have different churches on one side and also on our side, because it was well known before. So you had like different Christian churches. You have like Orthodox and I don't know, many different ones. But this was just amazing to see people. They are still baptizing. People come there. Tourists are open now to go by themselves. It's only half an hour away from Jerusalem. So it's a place now that is going to grow. And Israel, like we were speaking, Israel really want now, having Netanyahu, he promised that they will annex Judea and Samaria. So this is all part of that.
Yeah, and I think just because if you're watching and you think, well, you know, can you go there, can you not go there? That's part of Israel. So
you can
go to this new, I say new, the original baptismal site. Not to confuse it with the one which is in Galilee, which many of you might have been to. That's the one that was open because they couldn't go to this other one.
Exactly.
So a baptismal site was set up not far from Galilee, from the Sea of Galilee, where the hotels are. And
exactly. So now they are thinking that if the annexation is done, they are going to build also more infrastructures, they are going to build hotels. So there is a lot of things happening in this area.
And talking about the annexation, the amazing story in Israel, and it's in the Jerusalem Post, is the story about the recognition by the United States of the Golan Heights. Golan Heights is in the north of Israel. And what's happened is the United States have recognized the Golan Heights as being part of Israel, Israeli sovereignty. And there's a picture there on the headlines of the Jerusalem Post of the Israeli cabinet, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with the statement from Donald Trump. And President Trump has made history on his decision to recognize the Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. And he's going to fully recognize it. And in other words, the United States is fully recognizing it. And Trump said after 52 years, it's time for the United States to fully recognize Israel's right as a nation to the Golan Heights, which is critical for strategic purposes and for security and for the importance of the State of Israel and for regional stability. So this is an amazing thing. And Prime Minister Netanyahu tweeted back to thank him and said to him that you've made history. And he says, at a time when Iran seeks to use Syria as a platform to destroy Israel, because there have been a lot of attacks, because of Syria, Iran has been using it as a kind of a place to attack Israel. President Trump has boldly recognized the Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. And again, talking about the Jordan River, a very interesting connection. 1967, it was captured from Syria in the 1967 war, but it was in 1981 that Israel actually declared it as part of their territory.
Mm-hmm. But you see, when you see now, if you take a bit of looking at the bigger picture, okay, Israel is not fighting anymore, but these territories have to be recognized. And now it's by pourparlers, it's by speaking that these things are happening, which is kind of amazing. It just struck me just now. That thinking that before they had to make war, but now they are asking for certain things, and this is happening without war. Saying that they don't need to have war anymore because they got it, but it could be because of war. It could be that they will have to have war again to really be recognized. But now you can see, despite the conflicts, that they are able to speak about it, and things are happening with peace.
I think there are always going to be. I'm going to talk about that now, but or in a minute. There's always going to be issues of terrorism and other nations not happy with Israel. But basically, because of the peace that's been here for a number of years, basically, without Gaza and Lebanon, etc., it's enabled the country to have stability and to do the things like the moon mission, to do things like the amazing advances in computers and in surgery and all sorts of things they've been doing.
It's amazing.
But didn't you say that you had some film? I think the viewers would love to see this film.
So now we're going to look. So we went to this place of the passing of the Jordan, which is about 10 kilometers from Jericho. So now we're going to go with you in Jericho. Do you know Jericho is the oldest city in the world, which is quite amazing. So we've been able to go over there with some Jewish people. Usually Jericho is under the Palestinian Authority, but because it was the 10th of Nisan when I went, which was the celebration when they said that the Israelites passed the Jordan, we were free to go in Jericho on that day. Obviously, we had some army with us because we're like 13 buses.
Military escort.
Yeah, military escort. And fortunately, we had them because we had some also rocks thrown at us. And our bus had one big window who was broken. But it's okay. We just carry on, and the army was there, and it's important, and it is part of the story. But you can see it's an oasis. You need to know Jericho is with a lot of water. Things are growing beautifully over there. And you can see the tale how it is like you come out of Jerusalem, only half an hour away from Jerusalem, so it's quite quick. And then you can see the Jordan River, and you can see the valley, and you can see on the other side Jordan. And so this is amazing. And then now you are going to listen to the tour guide who is going to speak to you about the wall of Jericho. I've learned a lot of things on that day, and you might be very surprised with that story.
Now, the people of Israel are coming here and capturing Jericho. That's the first city captured. How did they capture Jericho? They surrounded the city 7 days, each day one time. On the seventh day, they surrounded the city 7 times, and the walls of Jericho fell. Catholic Union digs here, and she finds those walls. Everyone agrees that those are Middle Bronze walls. Middle Bronze is old time before, a long time before we came. So no one says those are the walls. Actually, there is one new idea, but anyway, no one thinks those are the walls. Almost no one. So what is this? Above this wall, there was another wall, and it looked like this. Cover, okay? It looked like this. Okay? This is a retaining wall. This was the wall of Middle Bronze. Let's say Abraham time, more or less. Okay? Above it, there was a wall of bricks. And this is the wall that fell. Now, if we go into the book, I'll tell you. You see, this is what fell. Collapsed. Now it says in this book, okay, that the wall collapsed under itself. Tachtav, okay, collapsed under itself. Another thing that the book says, that after the wall fell, a minute, it's long here, find it. And the 7th day you surround the city 7 times, and you blow the trumpets, and and the fall, and the wall of the city fell under itself. And the people went up. Okay, ascent in front of the wall. It just went up. What they found a layer. Let's see if I have it here. I don't have it here. A layer, this layer, okay, of red mud bricks. They dug it, of course, so we don't see it, but from this wall, some of them we can see here, just fell like this.
It's quite amazing because again, we can see, Matt, like the archaeological thing, they find more things. And with the Bible, which is guiding them, they are finding more the exact story, and this is what we're finding for Jericho. Now, I want you to listen also. Now, we know that the story with the wall who fell down was with shofar, which is like a trumpet. The Hebrew name
walls
is
of Jericho.
shofar, exactly. And now you can listen to the shofar blow in Jericho by a Jewish man. So I hope that you enjoy that. Isn't it amazing? Be back in Israel, be back in Jericho, be back to listen to the sound of the shofar.
Wow. And, as we were saying before, it's because of your support that we're able to do these programs. And, it's very important that we have this army of people behind us, because it's not just us doing the program, but it's also your support. We thank you. There's a lot of people who've been very faithful, Natalie, over the years, standing with us, and we very much appreciate that. We had Jerry and Gary Geordie in the studio from the United States, and there's a lot of information on the website, www.israelfirst.org. You can get in touch with us, and we can tell you how you can support us. You can fill out, there's a bank statement they can do. And, we do appreciate, if there was a large gift came in and we have studio equipment we need, if, for example, $10,000, but every month, if people give on a regular basis, that's really what the blocks, the building blocks of what we're doing. So thank you so much for your support. We do need it. If you are interested, you've been watching, let this be a nudge to you, because it's because of your support that we're able to continue. We cannot continue without your valued support, and there's a lot of projects. If you want to get involved with studio equipment or a specific project, then do let us know, and we can put your gift or your donation to that. Now, if you're in the United States, we also are able to give tax donation certificates, so do contact us through our friends at
Zion's Bridge.
Zion's Bridge will be able to help you with that. It's just a very important way of standing with us. And one of the things that we've done today, we brought Natalie's books into the studio. I think there's 3 books. Is it the same book? Or,
You're right. This is I've done it first in English because I was learning about the Hebrew language. The Hebrew language is really like a key to make us understanding the Torah, the Bible, seeing God more who He is and what He wants to say to us. And there is things that you really lose in translation. So when you start to know a bit of Hebrew, slowly, liat, as we say, is like you are learning things. Now, I've done it in English first, and then I thought about my good French people, because I'm French, so I did it in French, la beauté de la langue hébraïque. And then I thought about my German friends. Why did I do that? I think because they were still, the Holocaust happened in their country. And for some people, it's very hard to find a way how to go through that. There is a lot of guilt. And I was speaking with some people, and I thought, no, they need that. They need also to have the key to know that the Torah is for all of us.
You're watching at home and you're saying, well, this is great, but how do I get hold of these books?
You can get it in some German bookshops, but the easiest for you, if you're all around the world, you go on our website, Israel First, and you can find the book there.
And they can order it.
Yeah, they can purchase there. And there is also in some bookshop in Jerusalem, and is in Kufai in England. So it's in different places. But if you want it, the simplest is really to go to our website.
And if you're not sure and you're watching the program, you just say, well, this is my situation. I would like, to order the book or whatever. Just email us at the email address. That's the easiest, info@israelfirst.org. If you've got a study group, I think that we can do there's a special price for the study groups.
I made it simple, and I make it like really for the beginners to discover the beauty of the Hebrew language, is what he said. And when you discover that, you want a bit more and a bit more, a bit more. And we will start again at the end of the program. We will do again some Hebrew nuggets so you can learn about it.
But tell us about the Hebrew nuggets. That's another very important point. You've been doing the Hebrew teaching, which has been featured at the end of the program. If people have just caught up with you, this may be your first time to see the program, they can catch up with the
You're
Hebrew
right. Yes,
study
right.
by, how can they do that?
You're right. Now, if you go back, like we've done, we do the program, and when it's on Angel TV, we put it after on our channel YouTube, Israel First. And then at the end of every program, I do a little section of the Hebrew, and we introduce the language, and we introduce the letters, and after a bit more and a bit more. I want to give them the flavor of the Hebrew, and like more and more we learn. The Hebrew language is like a special language for God, for us to understand Him more. And I think there is so many treasure that is like hunting, and when you start to hunt, you want to hunt more for treasures. And it's just beautiful. So I think it's very important to, it's written, it's a prophecy that Hebrew will be the language again to speak to God. And people are hungry for that. And it's what's happening.
It's amazing. And you go to the website and you'll be able to get hold of a copy of this. It's a very easy to read book. And if you've got one, get one for your friends. It's a very good way for them to know about the Hebrew language.
It's a good present.
And it's easy to read, and Natalie goes through each of the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. So make sure that you get that today, and go to the website. It's very easy to order online. And in different languages as well. If you've got friends who speak German or French, they can now order the book in their own language. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Amazing that we can be here in Israel, on location, in Jerusalem, to bring this program to you. And don't forget, it's because of your support that we're able to do this. And if you haven't thought about it, or you have thought about it, haven't done anything, please then do take action today to help us, to stand with us, to support the program. We're the program that looks at the land, we look at the people, we look at the language. You can go to our website, all the information is there. It's www.israelfirst.org, and we look forward to seeing you next week.